presidents, his right and left hand, and spent, oh my gosh, an hour with them talking about the situation in Rochester. At that time, they were very, very appreciative to see us. They took one look at our pin, though, on our lapel, which is the Indiana flag and the U.S. flag, and the president pointed out to me that they weren't very happy with Indiana. We go, oh my gosh. Because of all the money that was thrown at Walmart to build the dairy over at Fort Wayne, and they felt they had been slighted on that. Well, we talked for a while and let them know that Terry and I weren't invited to any of those meetings, but we were there to make sure that they knew that Dean's had been a very, very valuable part of our history in Rochester, and we wanted to make sure they were going to be part of our future, not just our history. At that time, they told us, they said, well, you know, we have a list of several facilities that we're contemplating putting a new product line in, and the Rochester facility is on one of those. So we're not interested in selling it at this time. But we will let you know by the end of the year whether we're going to come back and do that in Rochester or not. So we thanked them and appreciated the trip, and we left, and towards the end of 2017, we did get a call from Brad Cashaw, the vice president in charge of supplier development, who was one of the gentlemen in the room that day, who said, look, we're pushing our schedule out a bit. It won't be decided till in the first quarter of 2018 because we're still going through the ramifications of the Walmart situation. They were still selling milk to Walmart at that time, so things were not moving as quickly as had been anticipated. 3 weeks ago, Mr. Cashaw talked to us again, and we made the first cut. We're on a short list now. It was a long list to start, now we're on a short list, and we're still in the running. And the one thing he wanted us to know was President Skazafava was still talking about Ted and Terry from Rochester, because in almost a year, we were the only ones on their list that had ever come to see them. And if you ever thought that showing up isn't half the battle, that tells you it is. They now know Rochester by Terry and Ted, not a pin on the map. And he said, nobody else has done that, Mayor. He said, the President talks about it all the time. So hopefully we will be able to push that over the top and be the one they pick. We'll know in 60 days. We'll let you know. The other thing, you can sit down now, Terry, that's fine.
I thought you'd forgotten about it.
Well, I didn't want you to have to stand there for 22 hours. I know how you get after 22 hours. The other thing that happened last year that we were very tickled to see, we spent a year courting a business out of Illinois. Those of you have heard that Boley Tool and Machine Products out of East Peoria, who does CNC work for Caterpillar and John Deere in the aerospace world, nice jobs, they're going to come to Rochester. They purchased 11 acres in the industrial park, and Frank will be joining the community. Now, we worked at this for a year. These things don't happen overnight, and they take a lot of work. And Mr. Boley has been over here many times. The one thing about it, when he comes and settles in the community, he's not going to have to go around and meet many people, because I think we've introduced him to everyone in the community, haven't we, Terry? Yeah. Everyone from Monty Hoffman over at Machine Specialty Castings to Dick Belcher met with Frank, and he's very impressed with our community. Frank had the choice of coming to Rochester or to Lafayette. His biggest customer is Caterpillar in Lafayette. Of course, they wanted to see him settle there. And his comment to us was, Lafayette doesn't give me the attention you guys give me when I come over here. And he's originally a small town boy, and he really, really liked that. He liked our rural atmosphere and our rural philosophy, okay? So he's going to be joining us. That was a big, big plus for us. And then, of course, by courting Frank, he opened the door for us to talk to Dean Jones, who's a site specialist for Caterpillar. And Caterpillar has some things on their map that we're going to be talking about in coming months in this year. So, you know, it's one thing leads to another, but it's all about making the contacts. And then just recently, we had a $2.5 billion company reach out to us from Elkhart. And their comment was, we've heard a lot of things are happening in Rochester. We'd like to talk to you about putting a facility in Rochester. So we went to see these people a couple of weeks ago and found a really, really neat company that we'll be able to tell you more about as things progress and their site team comes here to check us out. But we found a very, very progressive bunch of people who had certain wants and certain needs. And that's what happens. You find these people. You can't just assume you know what everybody's looking for. You've got to find these people and see what they want, what their needs are. For Mr. Boley, it was obviously taxes and the high cost of doing business over in East Peoria. Also the fact that we're in an area right here that is very close to the orthopedics world, and we've introduced him to some of the orthopedics folks who will work with him if he gets a facility put in over here. The other thing we found out is these people in Elkhart, they have a labor issue. They've used all the resources up in the Mishawaka Elkhart area they could possibly use up. They think they pretty well squeezed that turnip pretty hard. So they're thinking, what can they draw from the southern part of the state, locating here? They want to locate far enough away that they can bring other people into their facility to work who don't have to drive an hour a day just to get to work. But they want to be close enough to their home office for management reasons. So, okay, you know, you find these things out, and we're working to help that situation. Terry's putting together information for them. The next step would be for them to visit us. So we've been busy. We've been on the road a lot. The whole thing is, you know, again, it goes back to, is government a business? Can you run government like a business? I'm still of the opinion that, yeah, you've got to run it like a business. You can sit around economic development wise and have all the economic development gurus tell you what you should be doing, but there's nothing like going out and finding that person who writes the checks and seeing what their needs are and then fulfilling those. That's called marketing. That's called selling your product. Our product, of course, is Rochester. Person who's not in the room today, that's Harry Webb. I wanted to thank Harry for taking on the presidency of the Rochester Downtown Partnership. And Harry has committed to put his money into our community, obviously, by the beautiful storefront that he's just created. You know, we've had lots of things happen downtown. Amy Rowe, our chamber director here today. Stand up, Amy. We'll give you some applause. Amy's been very, very active in promoting the chamber and getting businesses involved in our community and working with RDP and the tourism board and such. It takes a whole village. It takes a whole village. It's like I said about Mr. Boley. He was blown away to think now he knows everybody in Rochester. It takes all of us. Thanks, Amy. We've also had some success on the south end of town, the pilot truck stop. Did you notice come in? And Casey Coles. Casey, would you stand? There she is. Casey's our area planning commissioner, and oh gosh, she's another one I talk to a lot. Any time of the day, right, Casey? Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Yeah, and texts and everything else. Yeah, and I know she says, "Doesn't that mayor ever quit?" Because it can be in the middle of the night. But then you got a thought, you know, you got to talk to Casey.
That's why I put my phone on silent.
Is that what you're doing? Okay. Casey was very, very instrumental in seeing that